Good afternoon to you. I'm Danilo Evangelista, and welcome to our tropical weather outlook for October 30th, 2025. It has now been just about 2 days after Hurricane Melissa has made landfall in Jamaica. Sorry I didn't post an update yesterday or post an update before Melissa made landfall in Cuba. Although I will say that it did make landfall as a Category 3 storm there as well, so there was also quite a bit of devastation that happened in Cuba as well. But now it has moved on off to the north, and it is weakening. It is definitely much weaker than it was before it made landfall in Jamaica. Maximum sustained winds are currently at 105 miles per hour. Minimum pressure of 967 millibars, located at 30.2 north, 69.7 west, moving northeast at 31 miles per hour. And it does now have a final destination of Bermuda. Hurricane warnings are in effect for Bermuda right now. And just to really quickly show you the latest on how Melissa looks like, definitely on its last legs. Probably only going to last as a tropical system for about a few 24 hours at most, longer. It's already, kind of getting that look of being submerged by extratropical energy. It's already interacting with the jet stream, but it is still producing some convection right now, and it is going to once again impact Bermuda. Hurricane warnings are in effect for the island right now, so if you are in Bermuda, batten down the hatches and make sure to stay indoors for the next 12 to 24 hours as Melissa moves very quickly off to the northeast through today and into tomorrow. But then by tomorrow afternoon and evening, and definitely by Saturday morning, Melissa will weaken into a post-tropical system and finally be history, and we won't be tracking it anymore, but not after it left a humongous wake of devastation, especially in the island of Jamaica. And I'm going to show you really quickly. And there are a lot of damage pictures out there that I could show you, but we will be going on for hours. But probably one thing that is very significant and just puts into perspective how damaging this storm was. Here's a picture, a satellite picture of the island of Jamaica before Melissa made landfall. I'm not sure exactly when this was, but this was how Jamaica looked like before. Definitely some forestation, lots of green, and I'm pointing that out because look at how devastating the storm Jamaica was after Melissa, before and after, and notice just how much deforestation that happened. Probably at least a quarter of the island's forestation and trees completely stripped. And there's just countless pictures online. It almost looks like there was just one massive tornado that swept through the island. And you could argue that Melissa was in many ways just one massive tornado that 195 mile per hour winds, especially in its core, is equivalent to a high-end EF4. And of course, we also probably saw as well much higher wind gusts, in some places, especially since the mountains here in Jamaica are pretty high, and we definitely see higher winds in higher elevations, and Melissa already had just very, very powerful winds. At least 185 miles per hour as this was making landfall on Jamaica. But the speculation is there online. Was this potentially even stronger than 185 miles per hour? There was a recon dropsonde that went very viral and everybody was talking about it, in which the dropsonde found 195 mile per hour surface winds. And I actually believe I showed that to you on Tuesday morning as Melissa was making landfall, because a lot of people were questioning it. But no doubt there were definitely very, very strong wind gusts, and absolutely ripped out the life and the forestation here in the island of Jamaica. And it's just going to be something that a lot of people will remember for decades to come. And even if recovery efforts will be mostly underway, there's still always going to be a memory of Melissa. It is just going to be one of those storms that really did produce quite a bit of damage. And we're going to be talking about it probably for a very, very long time. And you're going to continue to see more and more damage pictures come out of the island as we start getting more resources, more news coverage, the Red Cross, all of those people, and then eventually we'll probably start getting, more reporters, especially from major countries like the U.S., the U.K., Europe. All of those people are probably going to start visiting Jamaica soon to, survey the damage, do news reports, and I'm pretty sure that's already beginning to happen right now. And from that, we're probably going to get a much better idea of just how bad the damage was in some places. But from the pictures I've already seen online of people posting from certain areas, especially in southwestern Jamaica, where Melissa did make a direct landfall, it really looks terrible, I have to say, unfortunately. And I don't want to do this to you, but here's a look at the global tropical hazards for the next 2 to 3 weeks as we head into the month of November. And this is exactly why I say the hurricane season is not entirely over until it's over, until November 30th. And then you could officially, hang the hat, and put everything away for the season. But until then, notice here weeks 2 to 3, the Climate Prediction Center is highlighting once again yet another area for potential development in the Caribbean. And things are not as favorable in November as they are in October. October is the prime month, especially for situations like we saw with Melissa, where we have major hurricanes tap into the very, very warm sea surface temperatures, which typically peak, especially in the Caribbean, in late September and early October. And November, the sea surface temperatures are still very, very warm, but not always is it as active in the month of November, but it is still hurricane season, so we're going to have to watch out and keep an eye on things very, very closely. And it's certainly a sign that hurricane season is not over. And to remind you, it will not be over officially till November 30th. But until then, we've actually racked up quite a bit in terms of, ACE here and total activity. We are now up to 13 named storms officially in the Atlantic. We now have 5 hurricanes, and we have 4 major hurricanes. Our hurricane days is 24, which is just below the climatological average of 25.6. So we're now near average. We're pretty much near average. I mean, maybe we're slightly below with the hurricanes, but we're above normal with the major hurricanes. And we're also near normal with the named storms. And, given what the Climate Prediction Center forecasts, I wouldn't be surprised if we get maybe another storm or even 2 as we head into the month of November. And I'll probably go a little bit more in depth tomorrow on what to expect as we head into the month of November, and especially Saturday, since Saturday will be November 1st. But I wouldn't be surprised if we get another named storm. But very interestingly enough, the accumulated cyclone energy now at 130 points. And this is very, very, interesting. Well, number one, it's not surprising. Obviously, Melissa did leave quite a big, trail behind in energy, since it was a Category 5 after all, and a pretty high-end one. Very high-end Category 5, especially for the Atlantic standards, to be completely truthful. But, especially going back to early September when things looked completely dead, it almost seemed like this season was yet again going to be below normal. Well, not yet again in the sense that, last year was below normal, but we were in a typical situation in early September where it seemed like the season was going to be below normal as things were very, very quiet, unusually heading into the peak. But we saw the resurrection happen late. And it happened strong, especially with a storm like Melissa. And we are now above normal when it comes to our ACE count. And we still probably have at least one more storm left to go. So let's see how much more ACE we're able to produce. And maybe we might even get to a pretty decently high ACE count despite the fact of what we had earlier in the year. And it just goes to show you cannot write off hurricane season until it is completely over, which is also why I'm saying we got to still watch in this last month here to see if something else does happen. And we will certainly be watching things again in the Atlantic closely over the next several weeks. But with that being said, I'm going to end it off for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell because we're still going to be doing these videos up until November 30th. So make sure to give me a follow. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll be back with more, as always, tomorrow.